Welcome to the Mogul Mentality Podcast. Devin and Jesse here. Today, we're going to be talking about navigating your business growth and mastering time management. Now, I don't necessarily think that we'll ever become true masters of time, but we're working towards getting better every single day so that our business grows. Realistically, we understand that you, as a listener, you want your business to grow. You are like, that's everything. It's so important to you. And that with this episode, we are hoping to really connect and help add the dots and fill in missing pieces to get you thinking so that you can continue to take your business to the next level. So with that being said, just wanted to welcome Devin to the show and being here with us. And dude, baby's almost here, man. I'm sure you're so excited.
Yeah, there's mixed emotions. Yeah, we're excited. My wife probably more so than I, but yeah, it's good to be back. Um, I'm excited about this podcast, this episode today. I know you and I have learned a lot as we've been in business together the last handful of years, and there's still a lot more to learn. But yeah, excited to jump in and get the ball rolling. So thanks for having me.
Oh man, this is awesome. And as we're talking about navigating through your business growth and mastering time management, like I want to put the set the proper frame here. When you start to experience a lot of success in your business, that brings new levels, right? Napoleon Hill, every level has a new devil. All right, yeah. When you start to experience success, there's new levels of things that you haven't considered in your business, right? I remember when I first started, I went from literally nothing, like starting out to my first year making $215,000 as a real estate agent. And what I realized is every time I took on a new client, there was a new level of work associated with it. There was, the paperwork, there was the marketing, there was the operation, sales, service. And all of a sudden, I started to be spread really thin. And I found myself becoming more of an employee in my business wearing a CEO tag, which was, in my opinion, the old ball and chain, right? Like, because I started to become a real estate agent, an entrepreneur, whatever you want to label it, because I wanted freedom. I wanted more time, more money, more fun. And realistically, I created the opposite. I created more work. Yes, there was more money than I was used to being made, but there was no fun. And so that trifecta, the thing I try to focus on the most, was gone. And I slowly became an employee in my own business and a slave to my clients. And a lot of people right now are going through that. And that's probably why they're listening to this podcast episode right now, is they're trying to figure out how can they grow their business and then also figure out how to master their time and become more efficient. So I'm excited about this episode for sure.
Totally. Yeah. Don't they often refer to that as the solopreneur? That's, the one man band that's trying to juggle 17 different things. And they talk about the people that are willing to give up their 9 to 5 to work 80 hours for themselves. And like you said, it sounds great, but once you get into the thick of it, you're like, oh, I literally just bought myself a job. And because I work more and I'm doing these types of things, I'm maybe making more money. But like you said, in turn, the income might be higher, but the enjoyment or the free time and all these other things that are being sacrificed, and it's definitely necessary to find that middle ground on, okay, how can I run this, and I'm the CEO running, all of these other moving pieces, and still having the time freedom, the financial freedom, the enjoyment. We don't get into business to just, like you said, give yourself this massive ball and chain. You want to give yourself that freedom and that availability that you truly want. And oftentimes, unfortunately, we get a little bit complacent, or what's the word I'm thinking of? Complacent with some of those things. And yeah, we just give ourselves a more stressful, more tiring, more time-consuming job that we're like, man. And then that's when we always hear about how many businesses how many businesses close up shop in the first 5 to 10 years. And I truly believe that's a big part of it, is because we don't know how to manage our time and find that balance of enjoyment and time and finances and family and all those things that we want. All those reasons why we started the business in the first place, unfortunately, kind of get put on the back burner.
Yeah. And then let's talk about the profitability as well, because you're continuing to do everything and you're just continuing to reinvest and trying things out and not taking the steps, you actually are losing the profit in your business. Therefore, like you said, that 5 year mark comes up and you're like, I could literally go back to work with all these skills, make around $150,000 a year, and I could be happier within this structure and I wouldn't have to carry all this stress. I mean, I look at myself, 2017 is when I made that jump and said, I'm going all in. I was practicing real estate before, but I was working two jobs in theory. And so at the end of the day, I'm sitting there at 2017. I'm 190 pounds. I have hair on my head. And by the end of 2018, I am 235 pounds, no hair. And I'm literally like physical aspects, I'm aging rapidly. I'm fat. I'm not healthy. My back is hurting for some unknown reason. Doctors say everything's fine. And it was just a bunch of stress that even though I was making great money, I could have easily applied the same amount of effort at the job I was before and probably made something similar because I was spending money left and right. And that's that's what we're talking about here is how are we going to get out of that phase and into something that helps your business actually grow? And I think the number one reason why so many people experience the that first 5 years, that pain, is because they're an employee and they're not actually working on their business. They continue to work in their business over and over and over. And then at some point, it's like, I can't do this anymore. And the more you and I talk to other entrepreneurs, small business owners, and even CEOs, we find that this is a common theme, which is they're burned out. They're working so much. I had a good friend of mine commit suicide, and he was on the board of directors for a company. And it was because there was just too much. And there's a lot of it that's ego, right? Like, yeah, I'm on the board, I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, but then that ego is getting in the way of the actual situation. Situation is you're working way too much. It's not healthy. It's hurting your family. It's hurting you, maybe physically, maybe mentally, and you're not profitable or as profitable as you'd like to be. And the freedom that you originally started working towards when you jumped into this line of work, that freedom is gone because you're sitting in bed, sitting next to your wife, and you're on your computer trying to write up some sort of invoice or trying to take care of things that you weren't able to do during the day. And then you go to bed thinking work and you wake up thinking work. That's it. And it's a gross situation to be in, you know? And so how do we flip that switch and actually get to the next level? How do we get to that level of all right, now I'm going to work on my business instead of in my business? There's a few ways that you and I are going to talk about that today. And number one thing I'd start looking at is everything you're doing with an intention. What's the purpose of doing this? Right? What's the purpose of writing this invoice? Okay, obviously it's to make money. Okay, great. But do I have to do this? Or can someone else do this? Because if this invoice is costing me $8 an hour and all I have is someone for, you know, an hour writing up 10 to 15 invoices each hour, then I'm making more money and it's coming faster so that I can pay this employee. And that's the type of stuff you got to start thinking is, all right, how do I start to condense time? How do I start to clone myself in my business and eliminate all the hats that I'm wearing? And it, like you said, it comes down to intention. Like before the show, it's what's the intent of doing this? And so I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that, but I mean, intention's number one thing I think that will help grow your business dramatically in the next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one of my favorite exercises that I've done a handful of times is, what's your desired income for a year? Like, for example, if your desired income for a year is $500,000, just to throw out some numbers, what are the what are the activities on a daily basis that are going to help you hit, divide 500,000 by 12, what's that per month? Break it down. Okay, how many hours am I going to work a day per month? So you can break it down. Okay, if I need to make, we'll just say $500 an hour to make $500,000 a year. Okay, what are the things that I absolutely have to do every single day to make sure that the hours that I work every day are going to basically bring in an average of $500 an hour. Like you said, if I'm sitting up at midnight on my laptop as my wife's snoring next to me and I'm still awake and I haven't had a conversation and I'm typing up an hour's worth of 15 invoices for the day or writing up contracts till midnight, that's not what I signed up for. That $500,000, at what cost is that going to, like, income wise? Okay, great, but what else? What might that cost me? Relationships, marriage, whatever, health, like you brought up. Like, what are the things that I'm sacrificing because I'm trying to hit that? Okay, so if I can pay, a virtual assistant $5, $10 an hour to write up some invoices or schedule these or do that, take off all those things that don't make me $500 an hour. And again, that's going to be a slower process maybe, but start with one person. Okay, what's one person that I can bring on as a part-time person to start, and then maybe work that into a full-time individual and just relieve yourself of some of those things that are literally a waste of your time because they don't make the income and don't, bring in the revenue that you truly desire if you've got that
Yeah.
hourly or annual rate that you've got, that you truly want to hit.
And I would ask yourself, why $500,000 in this example? What is it? Because through your mind, you may be saying $500,000 is where I need to be to feel successful. But like, what's the purpose of that? What if you had $300,000, but your laundry was done, your lawn was mowed, your house was cleaned, your wife was happy, you had the best relationship with your kids, and you had everything you wanted on $300,000? Like, why are we setting the goal for 500,000? It's just a number. We should be setting our goal and intent towards the things that we're working on, right? Like for me, I look at it and go, okay, if I made $100,000 a year, but I was able to do the thing that I loved and it would meet the needs of everything else, I'm comfortable with that, right? As long as these certain criterias in my life and the season of my life right now is good, if that's all taken care of, then everything else is great. And then the next year I can set that goal and say, okay, how can I make it greater? Right? I have my cleaners. Well, what if I could have my cleaners here every day or a stay in nanny where I could just go? Or what if I wanted a chauffeur? Right? And I could have someone driving me. And then you add upon those values, those things that are important to you, because we say this number, but this number is just a filter in our mind of what we think we want, when realistically, what we're truly looking for is the alleviation of all the pain points and things in our life right now that we have to figure out. Like, dude, it would be so nice for me right now to have someone walk around my house and pick up toys after my kids, right? Like that is something that's so important to me. It's so nice to just throw my laundry out on my doorstep, have someone pick it up and go. And so for me, like, yeah, $500,000 a year is fantastic, but if I have to still do laundry, I don't know if $500,000 is worth it because I still have to do something that bugs me, that I don't enjoy.
Yeah.
So getting attentive to like what's the purpose of this? Why do you want that amount of money? It's not just the money. There's something deeper rooted about why.
So here's another thought for you. As you figure out, like you said, if you're good at 300,000 and you've been able to offload all of those things on your plate, once you have those systems and processes in place, don't you think it would be much easier to hit $500,000 that next year because of the foundation and that base that you've got? Like I'm sitting here thinking, holy smokes, like would you rather sell 40 $400,000 homes a year, or would you rather sell maybe $20 million homes a year?
Yeah.
You're doing half as many transactions but making more than double the commission, and so you're making more money but doing less deals, because we know every deal is going to typically require so many hours or so much effort to close a deal from start to finish.
Hmm.
But once you start to scale, once you have, maybe you've done those 40 deals at 400,000, we'll just say on average. Once you built those systems and processes for that, okay, maybe that next year, it becomes that much easier to streamline those things, where it's like, okay, these things are already off my plate. Now I'm making twice as much money with half as many transactions, and I've already got those systems and processes in place. So now I even have more money and more time to do what I want to do and not be stuck to that ball and chain.
Exactly. And then it just becomes a focus of, okay, I'm working on my business. Well, okay, and I'm working on myself. And if I have all these things eliminated, right? If I have my lawn mowed, my laundry done, like I'm using a lot of household responsibilities because, as a married man with two kids and one on the way, there are a lot of responsibilities. There's carpool for school, there's all sorts of different things that line up. So then my goal has to be to eliminate these things and work towards the pain points that I'm feeling. If I had a chauffeur, they could drive my daughter to school. If I truly desired that, maybe I don't. Maybe I enjoy that quality time. So if I enjoy that quality time, that hour it takes to get her to and from school and back home needs to be filled by someone else that can do all the things that I'm doing, that generates the income, that generates the revenue. And so I have to start thinking, where are the pain points in my life and what do I specifically want to do every single day that brings me the most joy? And then everything else has to be automated, delegated, or eliminated. And if I can do that, then I start to experience, like you said, more growth. It becomes easier to get to that next tier because your mind isn't clouded with all the crap of the things you've got going on a day to day. And so now all of a sudden it becomes easier to start to master your time, like we talk about, and getting into how do I start to maximize my day? How do I stay in that flow state? I'll tell you right now, for me, I have lead follow up day where I dedicate most of my stuff to lead follow up and outbound. The next day, podcast day, where I do all my podcasts. Next day, video day. And so I stay invested in that flow over and over and over. And I don't have to think about it. It just becomes easy for me. And then I have my research day where I'm researching a specific topic. Maybe it's marketing and I'm understanding how to tweak the videos and paying attention to the data. And then finally, I get on to my Friday, which is kind of a flex day. It's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go meet people. I'm going to go deliver some things or I'm going to go golfing. And then mastering those days and making sure I'm staying in the flow, the things that bring me the most joy, everything else has to be eliminated from the plate. And that's how I manage my time so that I know that I can be there at this particular event, or I know I can create more opportunities. And I'll tell you, from my perspective, the more I've learned to eliminate the stress in my life, the easier it's become for my relationship with my spouse, the easier it's become to make money. I mean, I'm in the process right now of spending an hour a week taking all the skills I know to develop a biohacking company. Very easy. And it's an hour a week and we just move forward. But it's because I understand now the importance of the time and the blocking and then having other people do things that I could do, but I don't want to do because I'm too busy exploring other aspects of businesses and coaching and things that are bringing me more joy. So, like yesterday, I worked a full day. Yeah, I sat in front of my desk for 8 hours. However, I walked away feeling so fulfilled and excited and optimistic because all I did was work on the things that excited me. I was no longer stressed out about the things that, you know, were causing me a lot of dis-ease in my mind and my body.
That's awesome. Yeah, and again, that's what it's all about. The reason we started our businesses was for that purpose. Like, one of my favorite things, and again, we all have different things that bring us joy, bring us like that energy, put us in that flow state. One of those things for me is like those networking groups. And again, like having a very specific intention and purpose and going, like it's really easy to just go, yeah, I'm going to from 6 to 8, whatever this night, I'm going to go. At this point in my life, I've got 5 young kids, another one on the way. And it's like anything in the evenings after 5 o'clock, if it's not something that's related for family, or like either a date night for my wife and I, or in one of my kids' activities, like 95% of the time I don't go. Like unless it's like some special specific thing, like it just doesn't happen. Like early on in my career, I was always doing that. But, at this point in my career, I'm realizing, okay, if I'm going to do this, it's going to probably be like a breakfast or a lunch appointment type thing. And okay, what's the specific reason or purpose for me going? What is the outcome that I want? It's easy, like we talked about before, it's really easy to just go show up and kill an hour or two of our time, BS with all these people, like feel good, whatever. And then we leave and we're like, okay, what's truly going to come from that?
Right.
Going back, it's like, okay, let's do this again. I want to meet, who are the specific people when I walk in that room, I see this person and this person. I specifically want, I'm in a sense headhunting specific people that I want to meet or network with or do deals with or whatever. And because they're either someone I look up to or want to partner with or whatever that looks like, there's a very specific reason and intention. And I'm bringing value to those people and realizing when we walk out the door, there's incentive for both of us to work together. There's some kind of benefit and some kind of like mutual like agreement. Okay, like let's do this when we walk out the door, when we're done, or we're setting up a follow-up appointment because hey, we just hit it off and now we're going to go, go do this. So
Sure. And I think that for those that are like, man, I would love to do that, but I don't even know how to start. I think that going and reading the book Giftology will change your mindset on how to create and win friends easily. I mean, I will share an example. I'm at a car show. When I'm at the car show, I'm not talking to the people with the Toyota Supras. I'm talking to the people with the $500,000-600,000 cars. Why? It's because I know that they have something successful. I know that there's value I can add in their life. I haven't figured it out, but what am I doing? I'm not overcomplicating and I'm not going and selling anything to them. I'm just going and talking to them, getting their name, potentially getting their number, and then from in a car show idea, I'm going home, I'm writing them a card and I'm sending them their favorite Hot Wheels car, or I'm trying to find a Hot Wheels car that matches their car because I know they're a car person. It's a small token, it's a small gift, but then it puts me from being just a normal person to there's something about this guy. And that's something I learned through giftology is all right, a nice handwritten letter, wax stamp, take the time, send them a car, show them I actually care about what they are and their passions as well. That has gotten me in the door of more meetings and more opportunities because like you said, you're just going to these networking opportunities with a strong intent, and that intent is to meet people that maybe are ahead of you. It would help if you knew their name or who was going to be there. That would be ideal, right? But in some cases, you don't. And so you've just got to pay attention and say, there's a reason why I'm meeting this person. I don't understand it, but I'm going to leverage this relationship and figure it out.
yeah, I would say one of the biggest things I've learned in probably just the last few months are the quality of questions that I ask. It's so easy to just, scrape the surface with whether it's somebody that's their first day in business or somebody that's made, $100 million to have like those same basic questions like family, where'd you grow up, this and that. Now, like, okay, there's that base, but once I get to know that person and have, some kind of connection with that person, I'll ask, what's your focus right now? What kind of deals are you doing right now? Or one of the best ones I found lately are what's your biggest bottleneck right now?
Mhm.
You're literally like digging for problems or things that are in like meaningful to these people. Like everybody has something that they're working on or needing or wanting at the time. And if you can pinpoint what those specific things are, and then say, oh, I've got this, or let me connect you with this person, or you're in return, you're bringing value and showing, okay, I'm caring. Like you said, giftology, maybe it's just a different way. Instead of that handwritten letter, there's truly value with that. But when you're with that person face to face, if you're like, hey, let me quickly introduce you to this person, or I know a guy, or you're like, I think, let me connect you with someone, and you're trying to help them solve that problem or bring value in some sense, that that will help you get to the next level with that person so much faster.
Totally. And then, of course, like you said, the more that you've eliminated, the less that you're struggling with, the more bottlenecks you're able to essentially delegate, eliminate, or automate, the more opportunities you have to go meet these type of people that will maybe streamline it even more. My favorite, like I've carved out an hour to sit on a call with someone, um, and every single week I'm on that call. And what I found was the relationships I met put together, like it was just putting together this biohacking company. It essentially was, here's a professional marketer that understands marketing at a deeper level than I do. This is someone that I need to work with who's successfully scaled $1 million of companies. By the way, here's someone in PR that understands FDA guidelines, and that, they understand how to manage and make sure that we're staying relevant, meanwhile not breaking any laws. So there's the PR people in medicine. Okay, what's my strong point? Well, I have what those other two don't necessarily have, which is just keeping the order. And it's not because I'm not saying that they don't keep order. I'm just implying that that's like a superpower of mine. And so I'm just the one that's every single week, here's the agenda, here's what we're doing, and I'm making sure it's being executed. And the three of us, it's easy. Like all three of us, like, oh wow, it's only an hour a week to do this. Fantastic. And that's what it comes back down to, is the more time you're spending learning and being a part of certain areas and groups, or meeting people that are on the same destination, the same path as you are, the more opportunities happen, and it becomes easier and easier to get to that goal, whether it's 500,000 a month, or 500,000 a month, or $500,000 a year. It doesn't matter. You'll get to that goal a lot faster because you're meeting people that will help you along the way, as opposed to just being an employee. And so I love this episode. I love everything that we've talked about, Devin, because it just gets very granular in what it is. Like the
Yeah,
goal is, you've got to eliminate everything that is not you in your business. Like, what is you? If you are a CEO and you like to, do marketing, and that's what you're just passionate about, then you need to skip out on everything else, the service, the operations, and the sales. And you need to focus your attention on marketing. If it's sales that you love, you need to get out of the marketing, operations, and service. You've got to focus on the sales, but figure out what your superpower is, and then eliminate all the other things that is not that superpower. By doing that, you start to create more time, more money, more fun, and ultimately you start to meet new people that are raising their hand to help you along the way. But because you're paying attention now, it becomes easier.
totally. Love it. Yeah, I was gonna say one last thing that comes to mind is, hanging around people that are doing those things that you want to, freeing up your time, hanging around the people that are doing the things you want to. And one of the things that's always stood out to me is, just recently I heard, if you want to make more money, solve rich people's problems. And so, whatever that looks like for you, if you're if you're able to find, everyone's got something that they're working on, something that they need. If you can find a solution, you know, if it is it an all a dollar, a dollar store solution, or is it you know a a Louis Vuitton solution that you're coming up with? Those the paydays are very different. And so, yeah, just being able to surround yourself with those types of opportunities and people, again, if that's your thing, I feel like you and I are on the same page that way. We're like, okay, how do we get to, how do we get access to a private jet? How do we get access to a Bugatti versus, I test drove a Corvette type thing. Like, that's all great, but we're all at different levels. So find what it is at that next level that you truly desire and put yourself in that position as much as possible, because the more you're there, the more opportunities will come for you to, be a part of that. So
100%. Just want to say thank you for listening to the Mogul Mentality Podcast. And the words that Devin and I have shared here, they are valuable and they will help your business grow if you continue to implement them and get rid of the stories of how this wouldn't work for you. We've been there, we've experienced it. And with that being said, we just want to say thank you so much for listening to the episode and being a supporter of the show. And we look forward to being with you next week.